Hello everyone, and welcome to another GCO tutorial. My name is Tyler, and it has been a long time since I have done one of these. Long time. Before we get started, a couple quick announcements here. First of all, Game Jam 2016, May 20th to 22nd. Yeah, we are hosting a Game Jam this year. We always do a Game Jam every summer, but this time there wasn't one out that fell into our scheduled time. I was going to make a video earlier to let you all know, but just didn't have time to get around to it. So that's your announcement. Sorry for the late notice. It's starting this Friday at 7 p.m. If you We're hosted on itch.io, so if you want to check out this is our game jam right here. You can click on that and find all the details. Anyone can enter, make your own team. You don't need to be that experienced, or if you are experienced, make something awesome. We'll probably be playing these on stream. That's right, we also have a Twitch stream. It is You can follow that link at the bottom, and of course that's our YouTube link where you can find us probably playing all the games that get entered into this game jam. We'll be announcing the theme on our Twitter at SDSU_GCO, and yeah, we hope some of you guys will enter. Alrighty, so we also have a Facebook page. Maybe a couple of you knew about that, not many, but it's SDSU Game Creation Organization. That is not alcohol. We were just kind of like pretending, something like that. But anyways, yeah, so this is the event where you can talk about, discuss, and mention that you're going to the event. It's an online event, so if you're going to be entering, you might as well just say that you are going. But anyways, the topic for today is image upscaling. Now, there's a couple of reasons why you might want to upscale images. In our case, we have several people who are still doing pixel art, as what we were doing when we were doing NDS development, and we have a couple of people who are moving into vector art and 3D CGI. So it's a lot easier to, we are trying to figure out how we can merge some of these art formats as well as some of the textures. We were running into needed a little bit better quality to them because we had pixel artists making some of the textures. So we are looking for a good upscaling algorithm, and there are three that I'm going to be showing you today that can upscale your pixel art into some more high quality art. The first algorithm is the Kopf-Lischinski algorithm. It appeared in a paper from 2011 that is an actual paper. I know Wikipedia isn't the most reliable source, but they actually got it right this time. And this is the actual paper where this is the article on it. And that's the kind of result they were able to get. This algorithm is incorporated into Inkscape. However, I have not been able to reproduce their results, and that's probably more because I just don't have a very good understanding of Inkscape than anything else. But the algorithm basically converts pixels into vector curves. I think B-splines particularly, in which you can then, which is more of a vector art style format that you can then upscale and get a result looking something like this. Pretty cool. The next algorithm is this XBRZ, and as you can see, compared to some of the other algorithms, it gets some pretty clean lines and some similar results as well. I find that this algorithm works particularly well with the really small sprites, such as your 16 by 16, 16 by 32, as it's dedicated at preserving the smallest of pixel details and representations. it is great for characters and such which don't involve a lot of gradients because it has a bit of a high contrast to it. Now this algorithm is probably the most accessible to get to because he literally has a scalar test executable program that allows you to actually just run the test. And so if I go over to where I have that algorithm, this is the scalar test algorithm. You just can click into that. Where are we going to upscale? Let's upscale. By the way, these sprites are all made by one of our GCO members. We're going to upscale this sword here. So that's our sword. And that's the original. So no scaling. It's actually the artist who made it was actually really clever. He somehow managed to make an optical illusion that you see this little gray bar go right across the middle. I thought that was kind of cool. But anyways, we scale that down just a little bit. HQX kind of looks like that. Meh. XBR gets a little bit better result. And actually I can't even tell. Oh. Differences in the handle actually. So the handle, it's kind of like curvy. And as you can see, we kind of preserved a little bit of the pointiness here. If we really scale it up, that's how the sword looks like upscaled. So in this case, it may not have done quite as well, and I think part of that was is because of just how much transparency there is going on in the image. But yeah, as you can see, it produces very, very smooth lines across, and it preserves that shading tone very nicely, which I kind of like. As well as adding those little highlights right there and smooth lines where the sword connects. I find some of these algorithms there's some pixel art that you just can't get very high quality, but there have been some cases where this tool has become very useful, especially for like background images and such, or background pixel art. Anyway, so what you would do is you would then go ahead and save this file, in which I'm just gonna name this XBRZ sword. I'm gonna save it not in the originals, but here, because that's where I've been doing all my testing. So we're gonna save it as XBRZ sword, and we'll come back to that later. So that is XBRZ. Like I said, it does really well with some of the smaller end pixel art. It's very good at preserving small like single pixel details, as you may have seen from that image. The last algorithm that I want to show you, and probably the most difficult to run these conversions on, is Super-xBR, which was made by a guy who also invented XBR. Is made by a guy named Hillian, something like that. It's this right here. And he made it just last year, which is really impressive. This algorithm in particular, let me show you down here. Here's a comparison of a bunch of algorithms. They don't have all of them, but as you can see, not only does this scale pretty high, but it scales incredibly clean on that W compared to some of these others where you see this jaggedness to it, which is really impressive. And the shell, you kind of see it has this very like painted look, which is kind of what you're going for when you're upscaling pixel art into more of a vector art. And honestly, if this looks too washed out for you, all you would need to do is add, say, like a pencil sketch filter, and layer it over the top, and you would get all of your strong contrast outlines that a lot of artists in kind of like the vector art domain use. And that's how you can kind of merge the formats. So this algorithm does a very, very good job at preserving sharp lines where there's a lot of contrast, but also preserving gradients. I found this algorithm works on specifically kind of like larger pixel art backgrounds in which there are gradients, or in the case where I found this useful was textures for some 3D models. For a personal project, I had a model that I think they had to shrink the textures down to kind of a 256 by 256 just to get the textures to fit in the game, and the textures looked pixelated on the model, but this upscaler cleaned it right out, and I was able to make the model look very realistic in an HD setting, which was what I was going for. So this algorithm was written as a CG shader, which means it's very hard to incorporate in kind of like a command line renderer. But fortunately, there is this program, which is an emulator, which is what these upscalers are often used for. And this emulator includes this shader. And so this emulator also has an image viewer and has the ability to take screenshots. When you combine all those things, you get your upscaler on an image. Unfortunately, it only works one at a time. You do not preserve transparency. Ironically, you do not preserve transparency for XBRZ, even though the algorithm supports it. The scalar test, for some reason, doesn't. Kind of annoying. So if you need the transparency, you'll have to kind of add that back in manually using, say, like a magenta background or something, and then kind of look for all the pixels that are close to magenta where the transparency is, and make them perfectly magenta or something like that. But there might be a way that you can streamline that with a filter or something, but I haven't investigated it. Anyways, RetroArc is the software that you want, and if I minimize this and boot this up, I have a little bit older version, but it doesn't matter. So if you have like a Xbox controller or something like that, you might want to plug that in, because that's how this controls. It's a very good like emulator host too. Has a lot of features. Some of the shaders are really cool. But if you don't have a controller, you can use your keyboard, and you use the directional keys, the up, down, left, right, to navigate, and then the X key is like your select key, and the Z key is like your back key. Seems kind of backwards, but that's just the way it is connected. So we're gonna press X here and press X, and now we've got our image viewer. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to settings, and we're going to want to go to video, and we want to make sure that our full screen mode is off, but our windowed full screen is on. And this window scale does not matter what you set it as, because it's just going to be an overall window scaling using Microsoft scaling, and actually it might be that, I'm not sure, but it's not going to affect the actual results that we save. We can then apply a video filter over the top of everything. However, this is not the full list of shaders that we're going to be utilizing to actually upscale our image. So we're just not going to have one here. So with that, we can proceed to back out, and then I think we proceed to back out again. If for whatever reason, I'm going to show you this now because it's going to be hard to get back into this later, but if for whatever reason you do not have the shaders, you can press this online updater, and you can press and you can select this to update your CG shaders. I'm not going to do that right now. The last thing I almost forgot about is we want to go to directory and all the way down to screenshot directory. We want to make sure that it is where we want to save our screenshots that we're taking for our upscaled images. So with all of that out of the way, it's time to go and upscale our image. We can load content. We select a file. In my case, it's my A drive. That is my name. Pictures. Originals. And we want the expanded sword. Now the reason the sword is expanded is I added about 40 some pixels on kind of around it because it used to be a 16 by 16, and that is because in this software particularly, if your pixel image is too small compared to like your monitor size and pixel resolution on your monitor, Windows will automatically upscale the window to the point where it can fit like your minus or minimize, maximize, and close bars, and that's going to affect the screenshot that you would take. So in order to avoid that, you want to make sure that when your sprite gets upscaled, it's large enough that it controls the window size. So that is why I expanded it to 64 by 64. So we're going to load that in, and I believe I have already set this up to add the correct shader in. But if you want to actually be able to see the shader, and this is where things get tricky, you have to press F1, and now everything is really, really tiny. So it's going to be really hard to see, but that I'm going to walk you through this. So it starts you off on the second option. That's the first. This option is to reset. The fourth option is where you would take a screenshot, but you can also take a screenshot by hitting Command and take screenshot. So I won't worry about that. The last option down is your shader options. And that is important. I believe this is the correct one. I believe this says load shader preset, and that is what we want. Yep. So then we want to go into this first folder where all of our presets are. We're going to go down to the fourth from the bottom. It says XBR, trust me. And we're going to go to the third of these long ones. The long ones say smoother at the end. That's why they're longer. And this is going to be Super-xBR 3-pass smoother. And this is going to, and so if we hit that, and if we go up and hit back, and if we then go to this, which is to reset, go reset, we resume, and that is our upscaled image. We can take a screenshot. I'll say taking screenshot, and when it's done, we now have our image saved. And if I go back up here to screenshots, you can see that we now have our image here scaled using Super-xBR. And so I'm gonna open up a, I think I'm gonna open up a, I'll do it in Paint just because of, it'll be easier to see that. But this is, yeah. So this is what the RetroArc upscaled to. And this is what so there's a side-by-side comparison, and as I predicted, I prefer the, okay, something's not right here. That is, that only scaled 3 times. That scaled 5 times, and they're about the relatively the same size. Let me check here. There's always something that, not that. Let me click that quick. So, 192 by 192, 384 by 384. Oh, I think I yep, I left that scaled to 6 times. Let me shrink that down to 3 and save. Yeah, replace it. Let me close that. And let me edit that again. And now, if I zoom in, that's a comparison of the type of quality. As you can see, it this is a much better example. The Super-xBR is kind of preserving the gradients just a little bit more. It's a little bit, there's a little bit more of a fuzz around it just to preserve gradients. And it caught onto that optical illusion that I was mentioning about. That's kind of interesting. I was not expecting that. And then XBRZ is trying to preserve some of the, it's trying to preserve the small pixel details of the image. And it does a pretty good job with that, I would say. We can also compare a scale. We can also compare an even larger scale for both of these images. If I go back to RetroArc here, I shouldn't have deleted that one. I should have just saved a new copy, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be upscaling things even more to give you another example of just how high these things can upscale. Although personally, you're probably not going to want to upscale more than 3 or 4 times without just redrawing things. You might as well just make your pixel art just a little bit bigger. Anyways, we're going to go to shader options. And I got a low shader preset. This is going to be tricky because I do not remember which one is the 7 times. But one way we can try and do this to temporarily help us out is I'm just going to load up this image right here, just so I can actually read what is going on. And as you can see, it becomes a lot easier to see what I'm talking about. So this was the option that we had been picking, this XBR3 smoother. And now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the repeat option for the 6-pass. So we're going to select that one. We're going to apply shader changes. We're going to restart and resume. Now we're going to load our content, and let's load up our expanded sword again. Interesting. Why did the size not change? We're going to take a screenshot anyways of that, and hopefully that gives us the larger size we are looking for. This is the new one. 192 by 192. That's the same size. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Did I not switch the shader? Believe it's this one. Huh. Well, apparently the 6x upscaling isn't working right now. I have to look into that a little bit. I'm not a fan of the fact that you cannot preserve transparency. But like I said, I actually used the Super-xBR algorithm for textures, which were a little bit bigger. And so I was actually, they're actually big enough where I could actually see what I was doing the whole time. And had a better idea of what was going on. But that is it for this tutorial. That is how you can upscale your images. I'll be looking more into seeing if there is a way to preserve transparency, especially for the XBRZ algorithm, because personally I find that that gets better results for some smaller sprites. Maybe not the diagonalness of the sword per se, but some of the other sprites it did a very, very good job for. But that is it for this tutorial. I hope you guys like it. I hope you found it useful. Remember, we have Game Jam 2016. Please be sure to join in and get involved in the festivities. Also, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe or leave a like, but I am going to ask you to leave in the comments what kind of tutorials and content you want us to put out in the future. And whether or not you found these tutorials useful. We love to hear from you guys. So with that, until next time, guys, keep making games.